From here to talk about it this morning, we've got two great guests on the show. Joining us from Knoxville, Tennessee, a criminal defense attorney who's been part of several Court TV high-profile trials. Greg Isaacs is on the show, and we want to welcome in a brand new guest we are so excited to have. She is joining us from the Netherlands. She's written 4 books on serial killers and hosts the popular YouTube channel Grizzly True Crime, Gisela K. Gisela, great to have you along with us. Welcome to Court TV, and I can't wait to pick your brain about this one. Let me start with you, please. Bryan Kohberger owns this. So now I'm asking the question, okay, now what? Are we getting closer to resolving this case without a trial? Your thoughts on what this might mean, please.
Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just go with, well, he was running, because we know he ran at night as well. One of his friends that they interviewed said that he would go for these runs at night. But of course, that means that they know they probably have evidence of him in the car, you know, even though he's innocent until proven guilty. So it's very interesting to me that this is what they're going with. And of course, it's up to the state to prove that he is guilty, because he's innocent until proven guilty. So.
That's right. He sure is cloaked in the presumption of innocence, and boy, oh boy, does he have a lot of very bad evidence coming in against him. Greg Isaacs, this is where we want to bring you in, tap into your criminal defense expertise. Okay, the fact that they've owned this, do you think that this is a good move? Why or why not, please?
Terrible move, and I don't know what they've owned. Why would you file a notice of alibi that's not a notice of alibi?
I'm with you, Greg. I'm with you.
Yeah. So what you've done is tried to address the cell phone forensics, the towers, the video that places the car there. But basically, they could have filed a document that says procedurally he was in North America at the time. I don't know what they accomplished other than they have a deadline to file a notice of alibi. But a very curious motion. But what it did was lock them in terms of reasonable doubt and plausible defenses if they attacked the science in terms of admitting he was alone, driving in a car. Julie, I'm just scratching my head of the notice of alibi that wasn't.
Right. You know, and that's what was weird initially. When we talked about this previously, when the state said, look, per the rules in Idaho, you've got to let us know if you're going to call an alibi witness. You have to be specific so we can do our due diligence and investigate whatever claim you're making here, defense team. And, you know, they weren't specific at all, just saying, you know, we might draw it out through your witnesses, state of Idaho, and perhaps call some experts. I mean, the car's not an alibi, but they've got to own this, do they not, that he was in there? Otherwise, they'd have the problem, the boogeyman problem, like I was describing. Gisela, back to you, please. You know, who else would have been in that car, right? I think they have to own it, although I do agree with Greg, it's very weird that they're laying it out in the document and making it seem like this, you know, quasi-alibi argument. What do you think, please, if they didn't own that? It would look bad, wouldn't it?
Pretty bad. And you raised a good point earlier in saying, well, what about when you return to the scene? What about that really long drive, as Chanley Painter showed as well there with those locations? I mean, does he take that long drives? We know he's got some odd behaviors at night, because when he was arrested, he was apparently packing things in Ziploc baggies. But still, I do wonder, though, if before this, in the weeks leading up to before this, in a premeditated way, if he would have driven around like the boogeyman, like you say.
Right, Gisela. I want to play a clip here where he is driving around, but this time he's got a co-pilot there. He's got Dad with him when they're making that long drive back home to Pennsylvania. And this is on the stop where he says they're off to get Thai food.
You right up on the back end of that van, pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
We're going to actually some Thai food. Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're scanning.
What's WSU?
Yeah, I go to university basically. The real estate incident that was occurring up there, it's a shooting incident. That is SWAT team and everything.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University,
yeah.
And you're going where?
Oh, we're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we drive for hours.
Hours, days.
Hours to drive. Well, almost a day.
Oh, Greg Isaac's inquiring minds want to know, was he off to get Thai food in the middle of the night when he went out between November 12th and November 13th? What is he going to say? Tell me, when it comes to the cell phone evidence, we know he turned it off when he was on his campus, and then it doesn't come back on until he departs from Moscow and he winds up in the town just south of it. How's he going to explain that one?
Well, you can't explain it, and this is a case, if you are going to file a notice of alibi, there has to be some specificity that addresses the gaps in the forensic cell phone evidence. But Julie, I think sometimes lawyers fall in the trap if it's a death penalty case. And I've been there. You want to do everything you can when you have a case with the ultimate punishment to go the extra mile, because you know that case is going to be reviewed by every appellate court in the state of Idaho. Then it's going to be reviewed federally. It inevitably, before there's an execution, will go to the Supreme Court. But sometimes I think people forget that your client is not only cloaked in innocence throughout this process, but you need to make sure he's cloaked in common sense. So, you know, this is a pleading that I'm scratching my head that I think is going to have unforeseen negative consequences with this defense, because the defense is the car did it, I didn't. Ain't gonna fly in Idaho or anywhere else.
No, that is weak as it gets. And I wondered, Greg, does this indicate to us if we're getting closer to a plea?
Well, you know, I don't think so, because if you're getting closer to a plea, why jump through that procedural hoop? And I think this is one of those cases, you know, when you have, and I've had serial killers, you know, it's hard for the prosecution to come at you with a plea that you would consider unless you take death off the table. So I don't see any signals that they're reaching that type of serious discussion right now. And because of these victims, I mean, these vibrant, vital college students, I don't think you could get all four victims' families on board to come up with an acceptable plea.
Greg, thank you so much. Well said. Look at these beautiful faces. These young people are what this case is all about. You're right. They were vital to this world. They were vibrant, and they deserve justice. So we're going to keep them in mind as we get ready for the next trial date. October 2nd is the next day that is the day the case is set for trial. There will be some other pre-trial court dates, but as of right now, tentatively October 2nd. More today. Right now, I want to bring my guest back in. Criminal defense attorney Greg Isaac's joining us, and the author of 4 serial killer books and the host of the YouTube channel Grizzly True Crime, Gisela K, joining us from the Netherlands. Okay, Gisela, I want to start with you on this one, please. Talk to us about what the timeline suggests to you about the potential of other bodies being tied to Rex Heuermann.
To me, I mean, the timeline to think in 2010, the Gilgo 4 were found, and then of course many more bodies, which we don't yet know if it's connected to Rex or not. But usually, looking at the stats, one wouldn't just wake up and start doing this at that age. He was in his, I think, mid-40s at the time. So what did he do in the decade or two before, and what did he do between 2010 and 2023? That is the question.
Right. Gisela, do you believe that there could be more than one serial killer involved in all the Gilgo Beach homicides?
I do, because Rex Heuermann himself was Googling John Bitrolf, who was one of the serial killers who operated in the area. He's been convicted of 2 murders, but they suspect he could be responsible for 19, and it's also of sex workers. And then there's Joel Rifkin as well as Robert Schulman. So that's already 3 others, and Rex Heuermann, who operated in the area. So there could be more. And it's a very long, dark road, so it could be that it's their dumping ground, but it's in my mind, a little bit unlikely at the same time. I won't be shocked if it is all Rex on that in that beach area, and if there's many more victims.
Well, we appreciate your expertise on this, Gisela. Greg Isaacs, let me tap into your expertise with the criminal defense side of this. What a case to take on. These attorneys have quite a job ahead of them defending Rex Heuermann, even with just 3 homicides. And I'm not minimizing 3, but just saying we know there's a potential for him to have more charges brought against him. Talk to me about what they're doing right now. Help us kind of pull back the curtain. What are they doing to plan and prepare to defend him in court, Greg?
Well, Julie, when you have a case of multiple homicides or a serial killer, it obviously ramps up the ante. But this is a unique case, and I've had one of the first cases that was tried on court TV in Tennessee, a serial killer. And when you have somebody that's a predator, it creates an obsession with the media, a fascination, a chill in the community that someone has been walking among the citizens as a cold-blooded, methodical killer. It's just a different level. Judges treat it differently, prosecutors treat it differently. Obviously, venue is going to be a huge issue as this case goes forward, but those are things that you're thinking of. And then everybody wants to become involved. Nationally renowned experts, when you pick up the phone, they answer the phone. Hey, I've only got a certain amount of money, it's limited. Let me play. Let me try to answer why this predator moved about the community like he did. So these cases are different, they're rare, but this is a fascinating case for all the wrong reasons. And when you're a lawyer, that's something that you're going to have to deal with from day one.
Right, Greg. Going off the point you made about how there are people now looking back with shock and horror based on the allegations when they might have come into contact with him through work or through the neighborhood. We've got a clip from one gentleman who worked in the same building as Rex Heuermann. Take a listen to what he said.
I was kind of like speechless. I was kind of surprised that it was him that was up here. He was on the 11th floor. We're on the 10th floor. It's not a big office. It's like it's part of the floor. So I never seen his office, but you know. That's the news I got when on that Friday when it was all surrounded by troopers, police, and reporters. The arrest was about a block away, but I guess the police here came to, you know, check his office and collect all the evidence, whatever, you know, so.
Gisela K, I want to turn back to you if I can, please. Help us look back at some of the things in Rex Heuermann's life that now might seem like red flags, but at the time really didn't raise anybody's eyebrows.
Right, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but just to name a few, the way that he bragged about his gun collection, and how shocking will it be if he didn't use a gun on any of his victims? That's going to be, it's almost like a deflection. That, and then there was someone that worked with him that said that when a client was approaching him, he said target on sight, like he called them a target. Never mind that he really seemed to like bragging about and talking about the Gilgo Beach murders, which might sound like a true crime interest. But the dates he went on said like his eyes lit up and he was so excited. He didn't talk about it in a way of empathy for the victims or the way one might usually talk about it. He was really excited to share everything that he knew about it, like he was an expert on it, of course.
Right. I sure hope once this case goes to trial and then we see what the evidence shows that perhaps you will write a book on him. Gisela K, you've written 4 books already on serial killers. You're also the host of the very popular YouTube channel, Grizzly True Crime. Everybody check it out. Gisela K, would love to have you back again sometime.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to be here.
Oh, well, it was our pleasure to have you. Thank you kindly, and we'll see you back here again very soon. We're going to hit a break, folks, as we are at the bottom of the hour. When we return, we're going to talk about cult mom making headlines as she's facing conspiracy to commit murder charges in Arizona, and the defense calling their final witnesses in the rape trial.